So coming back to the Future, without thinking about like the temporal mechanics of it, do you agree with the time travel in Back to the Future?
No.
No. Okay. Liam, do you?
I don't have thoughts.
No, but like, do you think that the time travel in Back to the Future is like realistic? If someone
No, I
was...
think everything gets screwed up when you do time travel.
Okay. What do you think?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to give an overview for the audience? Just a very basic what happened?
Now that everyone's answered, I wanted to have everyone answer before I explain it because it will sort of tip off.
Okay.
So in Back to the Future, Marty McFly goes back in time and then disrupts his parents from meeting. And that leads to him disappearing. Or start to disappear.
In the photograph.
In the photograph. And in real life, there's that scene in the gym, whatever. But if you disagree, that means that you think there is free will. Because if him disrupting the timeline, like, essentially means that he was never born, that means that everything was predetermined.
Wait, say that again?
So the act of him going back in time, being there, has disrupted things, means that there was already a flow of time that was going to occur and will have always occurred. It was predetermined. But him going back changed that.
Yeah, but that's also going back in time.
You're adding rules. Yeah,
you're
like,
breaking the laws of physics.
You're defining it a certain way and saying, therefore, there's free will. I think the whole thing doesn't make sense, so I don't know how you can do that.
From like the theory, like I'm not saying that it's like a perfect representation, but as an example of how we think of that time travel and how it makes sense in your brain is an indication of whether or not you think free will exists. Because if you say that doesn't make sense, that someone would go back and then it would disrupt the timeline, then you're saying that there would be free will.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't believe in the ability to make time go backwards.
Oh, okay.
And so like,
you just didn't answer the question correctly.
Well, I just think the question doesn't make sense. I think the question, like...
Are you... Hold on. Dude, you're accusing me of answering the question incorrectly when, like, you said... What was your question again? Restate your question.
I'm awful with restating questions. I'm going to try my best. Do you think the time travel in Back to the Future makes sense?
Yeah, I said no.
Yeah, no.
That's answering the question properly. I said no because I don't believe in the ability to go back in time.
So I didn't ask the question. That's on me. Yes.
I think the way you're answering the question is not exactly... He didn't ask if you think time travel makes sense. He asked if you think time travel in Back to the Future makes sense. If it did exist, does this mechanic...
If time travel...
Yes, if time travel is possible,
it's just such a big...
does this mechanic... This is vague, broad spectrum.
Okay.
We're not solving the actual laws of how this works.
Yeah.
Broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Would this be a sensible mechanic for how these things would operate based on your knowledge of the world and your beliefs?
Like, sure, but you're adding in such a big condition of being able to go back in time that I just don't think it becomes meaningful anymore.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's too big of an if statement to make it, everything else breaks. Like
Too many qualifiers.
Yeah.
If I can, because I think we discovered a point of contention that I think is really important and cool. If we could keep working on this, if I could try to define it in another way, I don't see how the human decision-making process, whether or not it has metaphysical stuff going on or something, some other force is helping us make the decision that we're not aware of.
I want to say one thing and then you can continue. I want to define one more thing. It's called Kausasui, and it's Latin.
Kausasui.
Kausasui. I had to look at the pronunciation. I watched 4 different videos on how to pronounce it.
Wow.
And only 3 of them agreed. I'm going with the 3 that agreed. Kausasui.
It's gonna be the one.
It's Latin, and it's just the idea that something can originate within oneself with no antecedent cause. It's just the idea that you can like generate an idea. That's the fundamental thing that's making us disagree. I just wanted to.
Oh, I like that.
I just wanted to put that out there. Like, continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, how do you know that you have decisions you can make that don't come from anywhere? Like, are you able to see the entire contents of your mind and be aware of them? You're not. You're able to just be aware of a certain parts of your mind. You have this thing called consciousness where you have a space where you can pull up 2 movies and then make a decision on them. Those movies came from somewhere you are not aware of. So from that standpoint, how can you make the claim that anything else that you're doing that comes from places you're not aware of in your head has something called free will? It's like you're like the conductor of a train, and you have certain levers and stuff. But the mechanics of the train are happening outside of what you're doing, basically. They're their own thing, and without actually understanding how the train works, you don't know how to move it exactly. Then you could also make the point, who's pulling the levers? And I would argue that's the same thing, where in this case, you have actually the train is pulling the levers on itself. That's why I think consciousness doesn't.
Wait.
Whoa.
Okay, this is...
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Jump in all you want.
Yeah.
So, first of all, on the train, I would say I think the train's a great analogy. But I'm the conductor.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's an illusion. I think the train is conducting itself.
This is where I
Then it's a bad analogy.
I don't think it's the great,
like the Back to the Future analogy.
I don't think it's maybe the greatest answer from a philosophical standpoint, but for me, I'd say for a lot of these things, I don't know how much it matters. When you keep saying the stuff like it's an illusion.
Sure.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Will you deceive yourself your whole life if it leads to the greatest end? If you are able to achieve the greatest means, the greatest happiness, the greatest joy through deception, is that not the best way to live?
Yeah. At what point does illusion become reality?
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I had a feeling that you would bring that up. I think...
Oh, you had a feeling.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Where did that feeling come from? No, it's okay.
I think that we can, again, separate this discussion. I think that there's a separate idea. Okay, do we all agree that free will exists? Do we not? Separately, does it matter? Right? And do we want to live our lives believing what we believe in a scientific perspective or whatever? Or do we want to live in our life in a way that makes it most beneficial for us or makes us more happy? Those are two separate ideas. I think that you can believe in free will or not believe in free will and still actively live your life as if you do have free will.